Shabbat Shalom. Tonight marks Rosh Chodesh Elul, the beginning of the Hebrew month that prepares us for the High Holy Days. Each month, we look to the small sliver of a moon to indicate when the month begins and ends. As we look ahead to our Jewish New Year, we are reminded that this period of time during the month of Elul is when, according to Jewish tradition, we begin the process of Heshbon HaNefesh, an accounting of our souls. A process that calls for honest reflection, to look inward at our shortcomings, and to begin the sacred work of forgiveness and repair. Judaism has always had a deep, rich tradition of storytelling. And these stories serve as a way to remind us how to live, how to be good people, and let us see the world through the characters' eyes. And so tonight, as we enter Elul, I want to share a story. It's called Across the River. It's a story that invites us to consider the work before us in this season of return. Once upon a time, a long time ago, across the oceans and across the centuries, there were two families that lived across the river from one another. For many years, they got along just fine. Originally, they started out as friends, and as their families grew and their children were born, even the children developed deep relationships. They were there for each other when beautiful and wonderful things happened, when there were simchas to be celebrated. And they were equally there for each other when tough things happened and shivas were observed, or even to lend a few coins to get through a difficult week. But along the way, the families started to bicker. Not over anything specific and not even anything we can detail here, because it was just the way of things, that when one gets mad, the other does too. Then the first remembers the story differently, and the second holds a grudge for a bit. These grudges poisoned their relationship, and it got to a point that they weren't speaking to each other anymore. And not only were they not speaking to each other, but they weren't looking out for each other, even sometimes trying to make it a little bit more difficult for the other than what might have happened naturally. Then, eventually, one decided that enough was enough, so they hired a worker to come and build a wall that would separate the two of them, so that they never needed to see each other again. No more celebrations, no more anything. That's how bad it had gotten. The worker came in and he heard the details of what was wanted. And because it had gotten so bad, he even heard the details of why. The worker said he would be happy to help, though he was glad when he found out that he would be working alone, because the one who had hired him would be away for a number of days. The worker got to work right away, hammering and drilling with great speed and efficiency. But when the one who had hired him returned, they were furious about what they saw. Because the worker hadn't built a wall, not a division between the two houses, but rather he had built a bridge. A big, beautiful, and well, quite a nice bridge. And just when the one who had asked for the wall to be built went to look for the worker to yell at him, the other neighbor had come walking across the bridge. With his hand extended, ready for a handshake, he said, "I couldn't for the life of me figure out what was being built here. In some ways," he said sheepishly, "I kind of hoped it would be a wall to once and for all separate us. But no. You had gone and built a bridge to bring us back together, to bring us back to where we were before, like a new beginning, For that, I thank you. And for that, I too will do whatever it takes to bring us back to that place. As we stand at a threshold to a new year, Elul calls us to look inward with honesty and with courage. The story of Across the River reminds us that the journey of change and return is not easy, but it's possible, one step at a time. Elul is our invitation to do the challenging work of Heshbon HaNefesh, to reflect honestly, to reach out to those we may have hurt, and to take the first steps across the river toward reconciliation and repair. If each of us can take just one step, one step in the right direction this month, imagine how much stronger and kinder our community will be in this new year. May this Elul be a month of transformation, and may the steps we take now carry us across the river toward forgiveness, renewal, and toward a sweeter year ahead. Shabbat Shalom.